Welcome to the testing world. In this session, I'll show you second step of Appium installation process. So in this step, we are going to set up Android SDK and set the environment variable. So that will be our second step. For setting up Android SDK, first we need to download this SDK. From where we can download, I'm just going to Google download Android SDK. Here we are going to get option of this download Android Studio and SDK tool. So I just click on this and here we are going to get this option, download Android Studio. This Android Studio is also coming with the Android SDK and size of this is around 2 GB. So it's going to take a lot of time to download. If you go at the bottom, we are also going to get the option like here. We can download Android Studio Bundle exe files. So we can click on that and it's going to start downloading. Again, it's a 2 GB, around 2 GB file that we need to download. So I click on this. Here we are going at the bottom. Yes, I accept the license. Download. As you click on the download, the process of download is started. Just pausing the recording and waiting for this download should be completed so that we can move forward. So if I check here, the download is done. That's a exe file. I'm just clicking on this and I'm starting the installation. So this Android Studio is coming for Android development. So mainly the developer is going to set up this tool, but this Studio is also coming with the Android SDK. We don't need Android Studio because that's an editor. It's quite similar to the Eclipse. Like as we are writing the code in the Eclipse, in the same way we are writing code in the Android Studio for the Android. But it is also coming with the Android SDK. Android SDK, it's quite similar to the JDK. Like if you are working on a Java, so we need JDK. If you are working on an Android development, you need Android SDK. Here we don't need Android Studio, which is the editor. We just need Android SDK. So I'm just running this exe file. And as I told you, it's a 2 GB file which we have downloaded. So it's going to take some time to complete the installation. In between, wherever it is taking more time, I'll pause the recording. And what you want to install? So I want to install Android SDK and Android virtual device. These virtual device we can use for making simulators. So I just click on the next, agree, and what's the location of your Android SDK? So if you check C Android SDK, you can place it on any location. So I'm just saying E Android SDK. Next, and then install. So now you are installing your Android SDK and Android Studio. And as I have updated you, we just need Android SDK and that is going to be installed in my E drive, E, Android and SDK. That's my path. So it will take some time. In the meantime, I'm just pausing the recording. So extracting Android SDK process is in progress. I'm just again pausing the recording. Once it is done, I'll show you after that. So here the process is completed, means everything is done successfully. If you notice, we are getting the message setup was completed successfully. Click on next, and then I don't want to start the Android Studio because I'm not going for Android development. So just remove this checkbox, finish. Process is completed and we have successfully installed Android SDK. So if you notice, I have installed my Android SDK in the drive E. So I'm just opening that location, E drive, Android, and then SDK. So that's the location. That's all the files and folder we are getting over here. So if you check our steps, so we have set up Android SDK. Now we need to set up environment variables. Here we need to set up 3 environment variables. 1, Android home. 2, tools, and platform tools. So these are the three environment variables that we need to set up. I'm just going to show you how we can set up all these three environment variables. I'm coming here on my computers and just right click properties, moving to advanced system setting and environment variables. Here first of all we need to set Android home. So I'm creating in system variables, I'm creating a new variable with the name Android underscore home, and the value will be the location where your Android SDK setup is installed. So here we have seen in my case E drive Android SDK, so that's the location. I just copy this address and paste it over here. So if you notice, my Android home is set up. Now second environment variable we need to set up is tools folder. So here we are going to get two folders which are important for us. One is tools and other one is platform tools. So we need to set path of the tools as well as then we need to set path of the platform tools. So I'm coming here in the tools. That is the location we need to set in new environment variable with the name Android tools. That's the location which I need to set up. So I just copy it and I'm moving to Android underscore tools. And what is the location? That's my tools folder location. That's the second environment variable we have set, Android tools. Third, we need to set for platform tools. So if you notice, that's a platform tools. So I need to set this folder path, one more environment variable. So I'm just going to the new Android platform tools, and that's the path. Okay. So here we have set three environment variable. I can show you again, like my computer properties, advanced system setting, environment variable, Android home, Android tools, and Android platform tools. We have set up these three environment variable. Now we need to make entry of all these three environment variable into the path variable. So I'm just coming to the path variable, edit, going at the start. So I'm on a start. First we need to make entry of the Android home, Android underscore home. So if you notice, that's my first environment variable, semicolon. That's the first environment variable we have set. Now second environment variable is Android. That should be in between two percentage symbol. So Android tools, and again semicolon. Third environment variable we want to set Android underscore platform underscore tools. If you don't remember the name, then just copy the name of these environment variables, and here I'm using semicolon. So all the environment variables should be separated by semicolon. So here you will notice all the variables are separated by the semicolon. And if you are not remember the name, I would suggest to copy these names, because if these names are wrong, that it's not going to work. So everything is done. Okay, and okay. Now I can check my path are set up, Android SDK is set up successfully or not. So I can go to the command prompt and just write Android. So it shows Android command is deprecated. You can use a lot of more commands, no problem, because I just want to check my system is able to understand this command or not. So it is giving some more suggestions, means it is able to understand that. You can check one more thing, ADB. And if ADB is showing something here on console, means it is able to understand the ADB command. So these are the few commands which we can try on command prompt, and if it's working, means your Android SDK is installed successfully. So that is the step 2 that we have performed here. And in this, we have set up Android SDK and set these 3 environment variables. One is Android Home, Tools, and the Platform Tools. So that is done, and that's all we have for this second session of installation process. In next sessions, we will cover how we can set up Appium server, then Eclipse, and then jar files. That's all we have. Thanks for watching this video.